Public service announcement. Passionate. Let me tell you something.
So what is this Passion PSA podcast? Who am I? Well, they call me Passion, short for Passion No Last Necessary. Why is there no last name necessary? Because the first name says it all. I am Passion and all that embodies. What do I do here? I give you the life coaching that you know you need, but don't enroll yourself in. When did I start? Actually, 2017. I'd leave a PSA on my Instagram regarding something I'd observed, and now we've evolved to this. Why do I do it? Why not? If even one person is able to take away one thing that changes their life, someone else's life, or changes the world for the better, then I've done what I was charged to do. So come on in, sit and listen for a while. There's something here for everyone at the Passion PSA podcast. Greetings and salutations, my beloved passionates, newcomers, visitors, and guests. Welcome to another episode of the Passion PSA podcast, where I passion no last necessary. Your Get You Right Guru issue a weekly public service announcement about whatever I have observed or was on my mind. This is a for your consideration zone where the objective is to offer you a perspective you may not have previously considered to both A, expand your thinking, and B, aid you in becoming a better version of yourself, and for others. This is a safe space, but not necessarily a delicate one. I'll never rob you of your right to feel what you feel. Same way, I won't sugarcoat whatever it is I have to say. The objective is to get you to higher, more expanded thinking. Now, beloveds, this was and may still be. I still haven't decided. This was definitely supposed to be your season finale. But I may have an episode or two left in me, also because I made a decision that instead of doing Coquito this year, which I have been asked for, and sorry for the disappointment, y'all, I ain't finna do it. I'm not going to be doing it this year because I do want to focus some more energy and effort into the back end of not just the podcast, but the back end of what One Woman Does, productions and publications. There are so many moving parts, and when you are a one-person entity, it requires that much more. And so if I'm going to take time in an off season, I'd prefer to put it into this leg of the business. And I can always circle back around to Coquito. Y'all ain't gonna stop drinking it, and eventually I'll make it again. But here we are. Today's episode is not going to be your standard episode. We have no script. And although I consider myself a very eloquent writer and speaker, today I'm just going to share something with you in preparation for what some do celebrate as the Thanksgiving holiday. Some celebrate it as a day of gluttony. Some celebrate it as a day of remembrance for the indigenous. However you want to celebrate your day, go forward in gratitude. I am thinking about what makes me grateful. And for one, this has been an interesting year. It has been an extremely interesting year. And if you were with me last season, you already know so much of the calamity that took place in the earlier part of the year. And then the summer was kind of dope. And then there was the major mishap, which led to the episode that we discussed, employee referral program. There was that. And I told you that I would have a follow-up, and there has been some resolution. Well, resolution is in the works, let's say. So when there is a complete resolution, then I will have a complete follow-up for you. But all in all, despite the downs, and there were many, despite the tearful days, and there were several, despite the disappointments, and they were not lacking, this year has been a year of success overall. There's been much accomplishment. There's been much productivity. There's been much growth. And for that, I am grateful. Despite the fact that I am navigating this cold and I'm getting over, so I'm super grateful for that. And the tissue has burnt up this whole area underneath my nose. So it is literally on fire as I am putting this together. But despite all of those little things, I am still super grateful. I wanted to just share something with you that happened in the last 7 days, and I thought it was just too good not to share. So I decided to surprise my mother for her birthday. and she had no idea that I was going to fly out to see her. So I was working behind the scenes with one of my homegirls, and I was like, listen, can you come get me from the airport? My flight is going to be landing at this time. I know it's early. She was like, all right, no problem. I got you. We worked everything out behind the scenes, secured the flight. Everything was good. Everything was go. Yay. So I get off work at midnight. My flight is at 6:30. So ideally, I should be to the airport around 4:30. The issue is that the parking lot where I'm going to park my car, there's no shuttle service from there to the airport until 5. So I'm like, all right, 5 o'clock still isn't bad. What I should have done was I should have secured parking from around 4:30. This way I could have been there when the shuttle started at 5 o'clock. That's not what I did. I'm on the phone with her because I'm trying to keep her off my path. I'm trying to keep her off my trail. So I'm on the phone with her until about 3. When I get off the phone with her, I'm exhausted because it was on a Wednesday early in the rising. So we're talking about after having slept like no hours so that I could get up, make whatever adjustments I needed to make to the episode, shoot, edit, do all of the things so that I could get y'all an episode on Tuesday. So I only got like 5 minutes of sleep. That's what it felt like. And then I went to work in any event. So now I scheduled my parking for 5, but the first bus is at 5. But I'm like, all right, even if I don't catch the first bus, I'm fine because I'll be on the second bus at 5:30. This place is like a mile away from the airport, so I should be to the airport by 5:45. That should be, and not even. And I don't have anything to check, so I should be good. I get off the phone with her a little after 3, and I'm like, all right, it's still too early for me to leave to go to the parking lot because my reservation isn't until 5 o'clock. So I said, all right, I'm going to close my eyes for a few minutes. I'm going to take like a 20-minute nap. I'm going to get up and I'm going to do whatever. So that's around 3:30 that I'm making this decision. So I set my alarm for 20 minutes. I'm struggling to wake up because I'm exhausted and my body's like, no, we need to lay down. And my mind is like, I agree, but we gotta go. So I get up and I'm trying to get my stuff together. And of course, now I'm looking for things that I really don't need to be taking with me. So I have to go over in my mind, like, what exactly is it that I'm going to do when I'm out there? She wants to do this, 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 and this. So there's no reason for me to be trying to bring glam. There's no reason for me to be bringing extra stuff. Like, bring some quick things like a toothbrush to freshen your mouth, emergency stuff, your emergency get right bag. And then that's it. Like, there's nothing else that you really need to take. Be gone. I try to put everything in this bag. This bag is too little. That bag is too big. This bag is more appropriate, but this is more ideal. I'm going through all of these changes, right? Suffice it to say that now it's almost 5, or it is 5, and I haven't left home yet. I leave home, I go grab the car. I'm like, I don't have the pass that I need to leave on the dashboard in order to park the car. Now I gotta go back upstairs, go get it, put it in my bag, jump on the highway, fly out to the spot. So I get there, and it's like 5:34. I'm hoping and praying that this bus that's waiting there is actually the 5:30 bus and he's just a little bit behind. It's not, right? So as I drive up, I pull up to the window. I pull up his door. I roll my window down and I'm like, are you the airport shuttle? He's like, yeah. I'm like, wait for me. He's like, okay. I pull up behind the car that's waiting ahead of me. We're sitting. Nobody's nowhere to be found. The driver in front of me gets out of her car to go and see like what's going on. I'm calling now, like what's happening. When she comes back, we see the attendant come from we don't know where. He just magically appears. He takes her car, does what he needs to do or what have you. Now he's still got to take care of me. He takes care of me. I'm like, okay, is there anything else I need to do? He's like, nah, you're all set. You're good to go. This is what you need to, boom. Now I get on the bus and I'm like, say friend, what time are you leaving? And he's like, now I already know. The bus is running every 30 minutes. But I'm still hopeful that this is the 5:30 bus that just waited for me. And he's, leaving late because that's what I needed. He's like, oh, only a few minutes, 6 o'clock. My flight is at 6:30. I am literally moving against time right now. I'm like, okay, this has to work. This has to go off without a hitch. Like, so I call the airline and I'm like, okay, it's a possibility that I might miss my flight because whatever happened. What's the next step? And the lady I'm speaking to says, okay, well, the next flight is at 10:30 and it's landing at like 1:30. No, that doesn't work. So I'm like, oh, okay, that's terrible. I go on Uber. So I'm like, okay, let me see how far is the nearest Uber, because at least if I jump in an Uber, I got a chance to get over there. The Uber going to get to me at 5:55. Well, he leaving at 6. That little 5 minutes ain't doing me nothing right now, other than costing me an additional $20 that I don't want to pay. From the time I was sitting in my car, and even I think from when I was driving to the lot, I kept hearing this word. You know, sometimes like a word will just pop into your head the same way how like they jump out of your head when you need them and then they just randomly appear. So this word keeps bouncing back and forth in my head. And I'm like, I'm sitting on the bus now and I'm trying to just be patient. And I'm like, why does this word keep resounding in my head? What does this word mean? So I'm like, okay, first of all, the word is propitiate. So I'm like, why does propitiate keep bouncing around my head? Like, that is not a word that's common in anybody's vocabulary. Like, maybe in religious circles. And I mean like religious scholars, but not in the average person's conversation. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's ask the Googles. So I say to the Googles, what does propitiate mean? And it says, win or regain the favor of a God, spirit, or person by doing something that pleases them. So now I'm like, okay. So I stop and I say, okay, God, what can I do to please you? Like, I don't know why this is the word that I'm hearing, but what can I do to please you? Then I hear trust. This clock is telling me to doubt. The clock is telling me to doubt. Like, everything is telling me you ain't finna get on this plane. And I'm like, okay, you're saying trust. Okay, I'm gonna trust you. We get to the airport. He stops at the first location. He stops at our stop. I don't have a bag, remember, so I just have to jump off. He's like, okay, your counter is up here. Boom. I run upstairs and I say to the people at the counter, like, this is the flight that I'm trying to make. My hope is that they will phone up to the gate. She's in the airport, right? Because how many times have you been in the airport and you hear them like, oh, attention passengers, we're looking for John Smith. John Smith, if you're in the airport, please report to the Delta desk immediately. Your flight is about to leave without you, right? So I'm hoping that they gonna be like, oh, and by the way, like, she on the, like the eagle is on the move. She like, well, you ain't got no bag to check, so you might make it. Thank you, sis. So I get to TSA, which the line is not that diesel. I'm ready, right? I'm taking off my boots. Mind you, it's raining rain. So I'm taking off my rain boots. I have everything in my hand. Of course. On the other side of the first person that got to look at your ID and your ticket, there's wild people who are not comprehending what the agents are saying. So they're like, why? Like, I can't put everything in this one little bin. Like, okay, so what am I supposed to do? All I'm trying to do is get through. Like, let me through. I make it through. Now I can't get my stuff because there are buckets and buckets ahead of mine. And my stuff is like holding. I'm like, God, this is like, you can't be serious right now. I grab my stuff. I get my boots on. And I'm still like, okay, you said trust. I don't know about this. This is wild. Because not the gate agent, the desk person told me the gate closes at 6:20. After I clear TSA, and I'm in New LaGuardia, right? So once I clear TSA and I go through that whole like duty-free area, right before the whole waterfall experience, there's one of those signs that tells you like all of the flights and whether they're departing on time. I don't stop to look at the sign, but I see in the upper corner it's 6:20. I'm like, okay, you said trust. So I'm a trust. So now I'm skipping to my loo, trying to get to this gate that I don't even know. And half the time when I go to New LaGuardia, somehow or another, I always make a wrong turn and end up going in the wrong direction. But this time I didn't. Okay, boom. So I'm getting there. I'm dipping and dodging. I'm skirting around people. I get down the escalator. I get to the gate. I see the sign says clearly 6:25, and I'm like, is it closed? Did I miss it? And there's two young ladies sitting down, engaged in conversation with each other, and they're like, yeah, you missed it. It's too late. The gate is locked. And I'm like, okay, is there somebody who can like help me get on the next plane? And the other young lady, she calm. She at work. I'm guessing she got there on time. So this ain't her issue. She like, yeah, she'll be with you in like 2 minutes. So now here comes the other young lady, and she strolls over and she's like, ID, please. So I give her my ID. And I'm just like I'm ready to have this whole battle in my head. Like, you said trust. You should have just told me, like, face it. You're not making this play. Like, you said trust. And I don't understand. You told me that that's what will please you. and I'm trusting. And this is hard. This is what's happening in my head as she very slowly looks at my ID and looks in the system to tell me what I already know, that the next flight is at 10:30. So then she tells me the next flight is at 10:30 and it'll land in Georgia at this time. I'm distressed because I'm like, okay, she said she wanted to do this. She said she wanted to do it this time. If that's the case, how would I meet her? I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't even know if she's going to be able to pick me up from the airport now. I don't know how to make this happen. This is going to throw off her day. So all of these things are rushing me at one time. And so, when you're standing at a counter and you just kind of like put your arms out like this and you just kind of put your head down, like when you're standing at the bathroom counter and you just need a moment to think. So that's how I'm standing at the counter, because I'm right at that place of burst into tears and have a full-on meltdown, or just stand here. So girlfriend at the counter is waiting for me to make a decision. You ain't in no rush, sis. The next flight is at 10:30 per the information you just gave me. It's 6:26. You got time. So I'm standing here having this like full-scale meltdown in my head. I can't even I hear her say something to me, but I can't hear what she's saying because I'm in my head. And then I hear her say a little bit more perturbed, go get on the plane and just sit in the first available seat. So I retrieve my ID from her. I say thank you. I see that the other young lady that was engaged in the conversation, she has now circled over to, the place where they scan your boarding pass. She circled over here. She's standing there and she kind of gives me that look like, it's okay, I take care of it. So I'm like, thank you. I walk down. I get on this plane. I am fully expecting to see this 737 100% filled to capacity with like one seat between two people that would not allow me to sit comfortably. Instead, I get on this plane and almost every seat in the front half of the plane on both sides has an empty seat in the middle. So both sides of the plane have 3 seats, A, B, C, and D, E, F. And either B is empty, E is empty, or D and E are occupied and F is empty. And in the back half of the plane, almost everybody is in a row by themselves. So y'all will for real gonna let me not get on this empty plane? Y'all will for real gonna make me sit? And I'm not even in a position to have that argument, because the reality of the situation is I didn't position myself to be where I was supposed to be when I was supposed to be there, so that I wouldn't have had to deal with any of this in the first place. Because I was in like an early boarding position, a whole nine. Point is, it was wild to me that up until the last second, right when I'm like, okay, you told me to trust and I trusted. What am I supposed to do now? And I couldn't do anything but be still. And in the place where all I could do was be still, the trust opened the door. I just want to impart to you that sometimes when we pray for things, we get an answer, and the answer is weird. And sometimes we get an answer before we've even really actually asked for the answer. And when it occurs to us that we're receiving something and then we ignore it, we're ignoring the answer to the prayer. The answer to my prayer was to propitiate, right? In order for me to propitiate, I needed to know exactly what that was, right? It was to do something that was pleasing. What was pleasing was to trust. When I fully trusted, or when I was trying to fully trust, I was having challenges because everything was saying, and even still, even though everything was saying, you ain't gonna make it, I was running through that airport like, well, God said trust, so I'm gonna trust. I'm gonna believe. So I trusted and I believed. And then I got there and it was like, we just playing, get on this plane. The answer has been given to you, whether you realize it or not. You've asked for it and it probably came in a way that you weren't expecting it. So you didn't process it as the answer, because either it wasn't the answer you were looking for, or you didn't really know how to dissect it. But you got it. Go back over the answers that you've been given. Go back over the downloads that you've received. Go back over what you heard that didn't really make sense, and maybe do a little bit more research into that. My grateful moment, right, as we go into this holiday that is supposed to be a celebration of gratitude, my grateful moment is that I had the discernment enough to take apart the message and really get to the meat of what was being said, and then to probe a little further, and then that I acted and I stood in it, even though everything was saying, yeah, no ma'am. Trusting can be challenging when everything tells you not to trust. Even accepting the response can be challenging when you don't know how to fully apply it. But if you don't, the outcome could be such a letdown. I trusted. I fully expected for Source, for Spirit, for God to make a way. And then I fully expected for the follow-up answers that I needed. And I got them. I fully expected for a result, but I got to the door and I was like, I don't know, this is looking kind of sketchy. And then it all worked out in my favor. I got there and she was completely surprised. She had no idea I was coming. She was so ecstatic, and it was such a great experience. She was super surprised, and I don't think I could be more grateful, because I wanted for this to be like one of the best birthdays that she's ever had. And I feel like it might have been. It wasn't extravagant. It was simple, but we did what she wanted to do. We did some of the things that like she needed to do that she forgot about. I was able to get in, get out. What's crazy is that when I got to the airport to go home, I got to the airport hella early and my flight kept getting hella delayed. And by the time I got back to New York, I missed my shuttle back to the so that same Uber that I was like scheming on at the top of the day, I then had to turn around and take at the end of the day. Suffice it to say that it all worked out. But I'm grateful. I'm grateful that it all worked out, that I trusted, right? I did the pleasing thing and that it all worked out. I'm grateful that she had a super birthday. I'm grateful to still have my mom. I'm grateful to still have my parents, my grandmother. She's in her 90s. I'm grateful to still have her. I'm grateful to have really loving, genuine people around me. I'm grateful to have an amazing support system. I'm grateful for y'all. I'm grateful that we are maybe at the end of season 3. Maybe we have a couple episodes left, but I'm grateful that you all have stuck it out with me. I'm grateful that I am able to be the vessel to get you the message that you need. I'm grateful for what you are able to glean and receive from this pod weekly. I'm grateful for the support that you give me, the motivation that you give me to keep going, and the motivation that I give you to keep going. I'm grateful that I embarked on this journey, even though it was not the journey I wanted to go on at all. I'm grateful that I did. I'm grateful that I've gone this far. I'm grateful for where I am still headed. I'm excited for it all. I don't want to spend too much more time sitting here. If you would like to share your thoughts of gratitude, you are welcome to in the comments section below. Questions, comments, concerns, compliments, and or criticisms can be left in the comments section. All are welcome. If you'd like to send a listener letter, you can send it to mybrilliantfriendpassion@gmail.com. If you would like to become a financial contributor to the show, you can make your donations via PayPal, Podbean, Cash App, Zelle, or Linktree. I remembered all of them. Growth, y'all, because I be forgetting. You can use any of those mediums. Any contribution is welcome. All of it goes back into the pod. It is all appreciated. And that's it. Your Get You Right Guru is signing off. I want you to go forth, be great, be filled with bliss, be armed and empowered with knowledge. I hope that there's so much gratitude on your day of thanks that for anything that could possibly go wrong, and so often so many things do, I hope that there's so much that you take the time to be grateful for that you can't even think about all the things that you would have, could have, and maybe even feel like you should have complained about. That's it. In all things, be passionate. Have a phenomenal holiday. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy your friends, your family, your loved ones. If you ain't finna be around none of them because you're on business, enjoy your overtime or your day off. In all things, be passionate. See you later.